This is Nick Williams with Temple of Geek, and today we are reviewing the movie Strange Darling. It's written and directed by J.T. Mollner, and it stars Willa Fitzgerald, Kyle Gallner, Ed Begley Jr., Barbara Hershey, to name a few. The director of photography is actually Giovanni Ribisi, who you know from shows like Friends. This will be a non-spoiler review. The synopsis of Strange Darling is described as nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree. And quite honestly, going into this movie, that is as much information about the plot that you need. In order to get the full enjoyment, it's actually better to know less about what's going to happen. But I will tell you some helpful things, also what my thoughts are on the movie itself. This movie is reminiscent of old horror movies. And when I say old horror movies, I'm talking about Stanley Kubrick in the 1980s Shining, all the way to earlier with Alfred Hitchcock. It uses a lot of the same storytelling effects as well as visuals. For example, both Alfred Hitchcock and Kubrick used a lot of different kind of camera angles to be a part of the storytelling process, and this movie does the same thing. As well as the use of colors. It uses colors thematically throughout the movie to tell the story. One thing that the cast kept saying is that they didn't assume the audience was stupid. They assumed the audience's intelligence. And the movie definitely takes that approach like a lot of the old classic films. This movie is heavily reliant on the cast itself. It was reliant on acting, and that is a benefit for the film. This is not a movie with big special effects and other things going on. This is very much about characters and going on that journey with them. And surprisingly enough, and this is not a spoiler, is that the story is told out of order. So when you're following along, you really kind of have to jump along in the timeline to try to figure out what's actually happening. But don't worry, they actually tell you what parts they're jumping to so you don't have to guess where you are in the timeline, because that can be super frustrating. But this is a movie that is willing to hold on one single shot with an actor to really feel all the different emotions that they're going through and to sit with them in moments. There are definitely some things you should know going into this movie to prepare yourself emotionally. Is that there is gore, there is violence. They do take a horror movie angle to a lot of what they do. So this isn't so much of a serial killer whodunit as it is a serial killer horror movie. But when I say horror movie, I don't mean the recent horror movies of the last couple decades. I mean classic horror movies, just with a bit more gore. So again, think of the movies like Psycho or The Shining. This is obviously not a feel-good movie. It is a cinematic movie about a serial killer. So just know that going into this is that you will feel that discomfort, but they do it in such a way that it does tell an engaging story. Although this movie is a dramatic retelling of actual events that happened, I implore you to not look up what that is before this movie. Look it up afterwards. I thought this movie was actually very good. I thought it was great cinematography, great direction, great acting in particular with the entire cast. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal in those elements. Our society has become so used to popcorn movies where we can just watch a movie over and over again that we've lost a lot of these cinematic movies where it treats the audience as intelligent and tells a story and really relies on cinematography and the actors to tell that engaging story. So if you're somebody who can handle your true crime dramas, your true crime documentaries, serial killers, you can handle this movie. It is there for you. This is not a movie about jump scares. This is a movie about intensity. There is so much intensity in this film with what's going on as well as in the acting itself. I also think it's a movie that you need to emotionally prepare yourself for when you're going to watch. So overall, I do recommend this film. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but I think it does deserve a lot of attention. Now, the movie does start off slow, but it will pick up. Trust me on that. But if you are going to eat your popcorn, I recommend eating it within the first half of the film. But thank you for joining me on this review. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It has been my absolute pleasure, and I will see you next time.